Good morning, folks. Oop,
Good morning.
here we go. Daylight saving time. Am I right? Am I right? Ugh. I am one of those people very tuned in to my circadian rhythm. And you change it by an hour and I'm like, I get up at the right time, but my brain doesn't go. All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. This morning, we're going to take a look at a home in West Chase, a subdivision. So, not that there are any, softballs out there or cream puffs, as we call them in the comp world, but sometimes I breathe a little easier when it's a subdivision because I'm like, at least they were built by the same builder and maybe around the same time and that sort of stuff. So, and thank you to Maria for providing this one. And Maria, I emailed you this morning. Again, I apologize. I didn't hit send on that email. I'm so appreciative that you sent us this address to take a look at this morning. And it's going to be a good one for today. So
I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you for helping out with this one.
So Maria has a client who may be, I believe, moving out of town, and she purchased this in 2018, from what I understand, and it was built in 2003. All right, so we'll take a look at comps, and today I'm going to frame pricing pros with this. I've been thinking a lot about appraisals lately. I don't know if anyone was able to join the NAR webinar yesterday, Ask an Appraiser, but it's just been on my mind. And as they say in Ninja, what you focus on expands. And so I've really been thinking about appraisal a whole lot lately. After I had a little moment last week with one of Teddy's listings that I'm sorry, Teddy's buyer's client, who ultimately won in a multiple offer situation, but at higher than listing price. And I always get nervous on that because when we're doing comps, we want to think in part like appraisers. We're not appraisers, right? So we take into account some things that appraisers don't, and we might like them to. But we do want to, keep in mind that it's going to need to appraise if there's going to be a lender involved in it. Else, the buyer has the risks needing to pay the delta between the appraisal price and the sale price. So is everybody familiar with that and understand how that works? If anybody has a question about that, but that's why we're always concerned that it appraises at least the price that our buyer is going to buy at, or that our seller has agreed to sell at, because the deal could be at risk if it doesn't appraise that value. Right. So in doing comps, what we're seeing in the market right now is pretty crazy, right, for pricing. And for example, I showed a house on Monday around, it was early afternoon. First showings were Monday. Before we even got there, I got the email that said best and highest due by Wednesday at 5. I'm like, we haven't even looked at it yet. And then ultimately, I got a wonderful email this morning. I mean, we knew we weren't going to get it. But I got an email from the listing agent saying, thank you so much for all the offers. Ultimately, we had 105 showings, 34 offers. So, and that's in 2 days. And so Ted asked the question on Thrive yesterday, hey, is it getting any better out there? So I took a screenshot and sent it to him this morning and said, no. All right. So, but that's why we need to be aware, it's where our CMA skills really come to bear, not just in, getting a price for, what we're going to recommend our sellers list at, or what we recommend our buyers buy at. We have to, the whole concept of pricing permeates from pre-listing almost to closing, at least through appraisal. So, all righty. So I'm going to put in the chat box here, chitty chat chat. And again, this is Pricing Pros. I am my disclaimer always is I am not a pricing pro. That's not why I'm here today. I'm not here to tell you all or how to do things. We're here to to work out together. Think it's like Orange Theory Fitness or CMA. All right. So, but I'm on the treadmill with you, working out. And so our address today is 549 Wheatfield Way. All right, 549 Wheatfield Way, and that is in it's Nashville 37209. And then the subdivision is West Chase. And as we've discussed on previous pricing pros, the data that you find in the MLS is only as good as what was put in there. So even if the subdivision is West Chase, and let's say that I type West space Chase instead of West Chase, or I misspell it and do WESCHASE or something like that. So we want to be careful using that field, and we've talked about using wildcards for searches in the past, but generally it is West Chase. I have a friend who lives over there. So, and this is it was last sold. This one's going to be very interesting. I won't spill any of the beans yet. All righty, and Maria, please feel free. So this hopefully, fingers crossed, if it's not already, will be Maria's listing. So Maria, please feel free to jump in, to drive, to take the reins, whatever, so that we can make this exercise most beneficial for everyone, of course, but for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, she called me and she was already leaving town to go to Arizona. She's got a new job out there. So she was going to go for 5 weeks and just check it out. And if she likes it, she's going to sell her home here. Now, I helped her buy this home in 2018, and it was a FESBO. That's a whole other story for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But she says that she put in all new flooring and she's updated the bathroom. I can't remember if she said bathroom or bathrooms, but I haven't seen any of the updates, so I can't really speak to just the style and if it's a showstopper or if it's just like standard renovations. Yeah, just like whatever. But yeah, the old photos show what it looked like before.
Gotcha. All righty, fantastic. Well, I'm going to share my screen, I think. Pretty sure I'm going to do that. Oh, and so let's see. I ditched you all last week or 2 weeks ago after 40 minutes because I'm on the free version, not the professional version where you get to go for more than 40 minutes. We're on the village one this time, so I shouldn't kick off at 40 minutes. But should anything happen, I don't know, have a moment and I cancel the meeting, just log back in. I'll kick it back off and start it back off. Or I don't think Village has anything planned at 10 o'clock, but if I got kicked off, for example, just log back in and work with it. Mary hung with us yesterday on Thrive when Ted pulled the plug on us. And so, technology. Right, focusing on sharing my screen here. Share screen. Again, apologize, I've got the daylight savings brain. I'm sorry, daylight saving. Daylight saving time. You all know that? There's no S on the end of savings. It's daylight saving time. My mother pointed that out recently, that I've been saying it wrong for, well, going on 49 years now. Well, 48 whenever I started talking. It's like, thanks, Mom. You're just now letting me know. I sounded like an idiot for all this time. All righty. So
upset about that, by the way.
What's that?
People get very upset when you put the S in there.
So, well, I'm training myself. I'm very fussy about language as well. My mom was an English teacher. She's retired now, but so we weren't allowed to say, use the language incorrectly. So I'm embarrassed about all those years, but trying to Trying to fix it. That and my sister is on a campaign to get people to stop using the term guys, like, hey, you guys.
Oh, wow.
Because, if it's a group of women, why would you say, hey, you guys? If it was a group of men, you wouldn't say, hey, you gals. But not gonna get on that soapbox now. All righty. So just a thumbs up. Can you all see, do you all see Real Tracks up here? Anybody? Oh, thumbs up. There we go. Thanks, Dana. All righty. So here we are at Real Tracks. Hopefully you're getting, if you're not already very familiar with this, you're getting there, more comfortable now. So if you've been using Real Tracks for a while and you're used to going up to search and then residential to start your search, again, we're encouraging folks to start here with the search box. This is the new interface that Real Tracks is moving to, and eventually they will cut off the old interface. So you won't be able to go the old way if you go the old way now. So let's start here in the search box and type 549 Wheatfield Way. All right, there we go. And what we see is it's, since if it was currently listed, it would take us directly to the MLS listing for the active listing. If it's coming soon, it will still take us to the off market because coming soon is off market. But this is what it pulls up, and it's just some of the a little information from the from CRS tax. And I like scrolling down here because then I can see the sales history in the MLS. But what? First thing I noticed when I went to look here was there's no MLS number. Now, Maria spoiled the surprise by saying the last sale, which was the second sale, the first sale happened with the from the builder, Box Ridge Homes. The second sale from for her client in 2018 was a FSBO, so it didn't go through the MLS. So we're like, oh no, well, we can't find information that way. All right. So no problem though. I'm going to go to the map and we'll start there. We'll start with a map search rather than an old MLS listing. Now, eventually we'll come to find that MLS listing in a second, but. And again, the way I'm going about it today may not be the way I go about it next, 2 hours from now. So if we have suggestions from the workout group today of a different way to approach it, let me know. Maria, I'm sure you've gone through a couple of iterations already on this, so happy for that. All right. And okay, so here's our 549 Wheatfield Way. I'm sorry, of course, I've got an inspector trying to call me right this very second. If I could beg your indulgence for one moment. I'm so sorry. Oh, can you ask? Sorry, I just went into my variety show. Y'all remember variety shows? Well, some of you are not old enough to remember them, but you still would know about them from the 70s, and early 80s, where you've got the somebody spinning plates on the sticks, and you got to keep all the plates going. And then if one of them goes wonky, then all of them fall. Well, I'm afraid one of my plates is about to go down here. So all good though. All right, so here we are in Wheatfield Way. This is off Charlotte Avenue, and my friend lives over here in Haley's Hope Court. So oftentimes we'll start with a area search, the map search. In the past, you all have seen me go with a circle just to give a 1 mile radius out from the point. And again, that's just to give me a visual idea of how far a mile is, because an appraiser, we are taught, appraisers will often go out 1 mile for comps. Probably not going to need to go that far in a subdivision, but that's the way I start. This one, I'm not going to start that way because I can clearly see when you're, can you all see those the tiny little houses there? So you can kind of see where the subdivision is, the roads. And so I like to zoom in on that, and I'm going to just freehand draw around Wheatfield Way. All right, so I'll use my draw tool. And I don't want to get over here and I'm forgetting what that one's called, Tremont, something townhomes, but I don't want to get in there. I want to, for now, I'm going to stay. I may have to extend this in a second. Oops, don't want to cross the creek. There's nothing over there anyway, but I want to make it back to the 70 here. All right, now let's go out a little bit. Did I miss something? Yep, I missed something. So you can always, extend it a little bit, change your boundaries. Just play with it a little bit to get it. Nothing over there. And even if I didn't know we were working in a subdivision, Charlotte Pike's a major thoroughfare. So to start with, I'm not going to cross over that. I'm not going to cross over Old Charlotte Pike. I'm probably not going to cross this creek here. Again, those are boundaries that often translate into pricing differences. And then I just zoom in to make sure that I kind of got everybody. Yeah, those aren't part of it. Okay, great. So then I'm going to hit search listings. Just see what pops up. All right, so what it's given me now you can see this Old Charlotte Pike here that we got here. That's not going to, we can tell that's not part of West Chase, the subdivision, right? It's very different. So we'd go back in our draw and just edit that just a little bit because I went a little too far. No, there we go. Trying to grab that little dot there. There we go. Now let's run it again. There we go. All right. So that's what it's found. There's something that's for sale under contract. That's good news, Maria. Excellent. So now we're going to go refine our search. The default categories category that's selected is residential. So if you were really looking for land or something else, you'd change. I'm sorry, the property class. The listing status, very important. The default for real tracks is active, coming soon, hold, and under contract showing. But doing comps, we want to add under contract, not showing, and then closed. Now, in a balanced market, we're taught that appraisers will go out about a mile and they won't go out farther than a year for closed comps, right? So, well, in this market, was the pricing that we're seeing now, was that kind of the case 10, 11 months ago? Not quite. So I'd rather stay around 6 months, but I like starting with a bunch of stuff in the funnel and then squishing it down and narrowing it down. So I'm going to start with a year, but keeping that with a grain of salt that if something sold 11 and a half months ago, based on what we're seeing in the market now, we might need to bump up our comp just because of what we know is going on. All righty. All right, and close. All right. Anything else we want to do this, at this point? Beds, baths, that I say no for myself. Again, I like the big funnel. We're in a subdivision, so we've already kind of got a natural limitation. We've drawn a geographical limitation around that subdivision. So I say let's go on and do the search. Hey, it took away my thing. All right. I don't know why that happens, but that's okay. I just get practice drawing it again. All right. Why did you do that? All right, sorry about that. Let's go here, 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 here. All right. Make sure we got everything, not quite. So let's extend this up a little bit. Make sure we don't get anybody over there. All right, now search listings. Yep, still got that little guy over here. Although for not being in the subdivision, there must be some land associated with that 725. Either that or the owner's just like, oh, let's just see what somebody will pay for this today. All right, now we're back. Now let's refine our search. And so my default, and you can change the default, is when you hit the search, is I get a map and I get these the little grid view over here. But it takes up a lot of my, when I have my second monitor, that's not a problem, but I'm just on my laptop now. So I want to make that go away. So I just use this little arrow. So little tip. All right, now we're going to go back. We're going to add in our under contract showing, our closed, and we're going to do a year. All right, and hit search. Woohoo! Awesome. So it looks like we got 9 closed and 9 closed and 1 under contract showing, accepting backup offers. So pretty good. Maria, are we doing okay so far? Anything that you'd like us to do differently to edit our search at this point? I'm going to expand my little grid there. Looks like I missed a corner.
No, so far I pretty much followed the same steps.
All right. So I just edited our drawing a little bit and then I'll hit search again, just in case there was something on that corner. All right, fantastic. Now, I think at this point, again, because we're in the we're in a subdivision, let's take a look at the list. Now, it looks like we would have done okay with this, putting West Chase in here. West Hills, apartment number 6. Looks like we grabbed something in our search area that maybe we don't need. So let's keep an eye on that one. That one may need to come out, right? In fact, we'll just take a quick look at it right now. Definitely not. It's a townhouse condo in West Hills, so we don't want that one. All right. So let's take that one out. Everything else, West Chase, looks about right. Let's see when they were built. All right, so, all right. All right, I feel pretty good about including all these in a first pass of the CMA. So let's go to 3 dots here in the corner. Whoops. Do CMA and see what we got. All right. So the one that's active under contract is 4 beds, 3.5 baths, right? And now we'll take a look at what we have. So Maria's subject property is 3 beds, 2 baths, all right, and 1,542 square feet. All right, so I'm just going to eyeball, and then we're going to go back and probably squish some things out of that funnel a little bit. All right. So keep in mind, 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,542 square feet, built in 2003. So look, that one looks pretty good right there, right? 2003, 3 bed, 2 bath. And let's see when the sales were. Okay, that one was back March 20, July 20. Okay, so some of those were in early 20. So the ones that were selling later in early 2021, we might want to put some more weight on those when we're, evaluating the sale price. However, personally, I don't want to get rid of anything that's a 3.2 because that's similar to our subject property. And then maybe we could we'll consider that and consider bumping the price for what we see is happening in the market right now. All right, based on the list view, does anyone see anything you want to vote off the island? Because then we're going to go back to our results and we'll refine and back to our results. And as we practice in pricing pros, doing a CMA, getting comps is not a one and done. And I will just say for myself, I've been guilty of, oh my gosh, I'm out of time. I just need to do something quickly. But that's not the best way. It's not about doing that one deadlift of 800 pounds. It's about doing lots of reps at lower weight, right? So we'll go back to our results and refine, and then, and kind of chip away at this. So did someone just add something? Nope. Oh, I got a chat. Hang on. Oh, bye, Mary.
I would vote off the 4 bedrooms.
Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. So vote off the 4 bedrooms. All right. And what's the logic? I don't
I
disagree.
mean,
I'm just asking.
What
they're
about the
just
first one? 'Cause it's only 1,500 square feet.
Well, our subject
First one?
property is 1,500.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay, perfect. Then do you need to get rid of the ones that are like 2,700 square feet?
And that's what Maria, was that you who said that? Who said that?
yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Awesome.
good.
Yeah. Vote the 4 bedrooms off the island, because that does make a big difference. It makes a big difference in terms of square footage. Then we've got this. What do you feel about this 331? 3 beds, 3 baths. Everybody knows another bath is never a bad thing.
I think we could probably vote that one off too.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think we can just go off the other ones.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go back to the results then. All right. And what I'm going to share with you in a second is, I want to pull up something real quick here. Oh, so many files. All right. So I pulled the MLS sheet from when it sold the first time. Again, the second time it was FSBO. And so it didn't go through Real Tracks, so we didn't have the information. But we do have from when it sold the first time. It closed in 2003 when it was a new construction. Now, a lot of this stuff we can get from the tax record, 3 beds, 2 baths. However, if someone had done, built an addition on the back, that sort of thing, want to take these old MLS listings with a grain of salt. Often I use them to steal the directions, and then I'll refine them or the remarks and see what they said. But also some of the amenities, the features that maybe I should have gotten in my listing presentation, when I was doing the tour. But if I was doing the comps for a pre-listing, then I'd want to do this research ahead of time. So we've got 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,542 square feet. Let's see if there's anything else in here. It is showing an association fee, an HOA. So we'd want to make sure we're asking the seller that, and asking for HOA information and all that. But we're not here to talk about listing presentation. All right. Anything else? Go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, so I know that they had added a sunroom. So
Okay.
if you're, I don't know if this is helpful or making it more confusing, but you can see the listing when it was a FSBO on Zillow. Yeah, I sent you the link in the email. So it's just, yeah, so you don't have to search for it.
Let's see. I can probably just go to Zillow. Oh, you're probably right. It's probably easier to go over here. I don't want to encourage them like I'm searching on it. Not that there's anything wrong with Zillow. Oh, there you are, Maria. Awesome. And clicky. Although one feedback I would give Zillow is they just make it too busy. like it's really hard to zoom in on I feel like it's hard to zoom in on the information. It's like they've got so many options for things you can look at. I'm just like, "Grr." All right, so now this says 3-bed, 2-bath, 1782 square feet.
Yeah,
So
and
that may be the sunroom added on, perhaps?
I think that's the sunroom. I mean, obviously that's owner supplied, and when
Yeah.
she bought that, we didn't have professional measurements. So
Uh-huh.
if I feel like he did show us the plans for the room because we had to make sure that it had been approved by the HOA.
Gotcha.
But I don't remember if we actually like cross-checked that square footage.
Gotcha. And again, thinking like an appraiser will, has criteria for determining if that's actual, square footage you can count or square footage you can't count. So generally it needs to be conditioned space, and there's some other things. So keep that in mind if you're representing the seller, then you'll want to advise them, because if the seller says, hey, wait, when I bought it, it said 1782 square feet. Well, as their trusted and experienced advisor, you need to say, well, if we have professional measurement, then we can use it. If we don't, you might consider paying for a professional measurement so that we can count that square footage. And that could be, part of your value add. Hey, look, 200 square feet is a lot of square footage when you're calculating price per square foot. So, all righty. Anything else in this listing that, other than this estimate? Now let's write down this estimate, 372,892, because I don't, if you've been working with clients and they've said, well, this estimate is this, then we need to know what, what these algorithms are saying, and just keep that in the back of our minds as we're coming up with our comps. All right, anything else on the previous sale listing on Zillow that we should look at, Maria?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, thanks. I admit I failed to look for Zillow, so I'm glad. All right. Okay, so let's go back to refine the search. Sorry, my inspector thing again. I told Teddy you all said hello. I said, stop texting me. I'm kidding. All righty. So we're going to refine our search. So I heard we want to vote the 4 bedrooms off the island. So let's put a max of 3 bedrooms, right? And that'll bump those out. Were there any other limitations we wanted to put at this point? I didn't think there were. I may have missed.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, great. All right. Then we'll scroll back down and hit our search button again. Getting closer. All right, so we do have I didn't vote that one off the island, did we? So let's have a minimum. Sorry about that. Forgot about our little Charlotte Pike apartment there. So let's put a minimum of 3 beds and a maximum of 3 beds. And redo that. Now we're cooking with gas. Alrighty, so we have, so most of these were built in the early 2000s. This one was built a little later. This one's interesting, 3/2/1542. Okay, all right. I feel pretty good about this. Let's run that CMA again. All right. Oh, and just before I go, in the default here, they're showing me the list agent, and you can customize the fields that appear here. But we've talked in the past, sometimes if you're in an area and somebody is, if you see a listing agent multiple times and you have questions, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call an agent like, hey, Robbie Drimmer, I've seen your name around East Nashville just a little bit, and I've got a listing coming up and I'd really like to talk to you. You know, that 99.3% of the realtors out there are going to be happy to talk to you and help you out, answer any questions that you may have, or just and if you're that agent, please answer the phone, help people out. But I don't see anybody in particular who's jumping out. So now we'll go run the CMA again. All righty. Now, the thing that I don't love about this is that we did now get rid of our one that's under contract because it was a 4-bedroom. So just keep that in mind, even that you might want to bring that one back in because that's your competition, and not necessarily in terms of assessing your price, because we all know closed price is what matters. But you need to know what's happening out there, what's available, basically what you're competing with, right? So, all righty. So let's take a look. Our subject property is very similar to this one here, the 3-2, 1542 square feet, and it sold in early 20 for $320. Let's see, the sale price I can see. This is, what was it? Sorry, I didn't write that down. Maria, do you remember off the top of your head? We can get it. Oh,
I think it was 306.
yeah, I've got it. I pulled up the, oh, look at you, right on the money. I had it pulled up already in CRS tax, 3068, great. And again, not that that has anything to do with the pricing today, but it does have everything to do with talking to your seller. Especially in a market where somebody might be upside down. But you want to say, hey, look, this is, they might be like, what? You think it's $310? It's only gone up $3,200 in this market, blah, blah, blah. So again, you're just making sure you've done all the research, you have all the information so that you can synthesize it in the best way. Okay. And very interesting in the property summary here, look at that, square feet, 1782. Now, the property summary can be, it can be incorrect. Often when it's incorrect on the low side, but it does say 1782 here in the property record. So if you were doing the listing and you were entering it into the MLS, you could say 1782, and you got the information from the tax record. But just keep in mind, you may need to answer the questions about the sunroom. And I would personally want to have that confidence, the information backing up that sunroom does in fact count in the 1782. All right, but that's good to know, right? So we're going to change in our evaluation. We need to look at pricing it at 1782 square feet. Maria, is that where you're at?
Yeah.
So you've got information that it was the sunroom was approved by the HOA. That's good. And conform with that. Were there any codes, permits pulled on it?
Yeah, everything was legit.
Okay.
I didn't go back and look at all that stuff, but I do remember he had shown us the plans and stuff.
Gotcha. And another question, when your client purchased the home, did she purchase it with a loan?
She paid cash.
She paid cash, because
Yes.
if she had gone through the lending process, there would have been a professional appraisal at that time. And then you could use that appraisal as the record for the square footage. So that's why I asked.
Actually, you know what? I remember we did go through a loan, and then she was selling her house, and then she ended up paying off that loan right after. Thank you for reminding me. So there was an appraisal, and that's why it had been listed for, I think, $349, and then it didn't appraise. So that's why it went down to 306,800.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's good knowledge to have. And it ties in so nicely with how we started this discussion today about appraising.
Oh man.
It's almost like I planned it, but I totally didn't. So, well, that was good for your client that A, the price went down, and B, she was able to, pay with cash, and wasn't, dependent on that, on a lender for that. So you might ask your client or check your records for that appraisal. Again, just as further confirmation that sunroom is part of the, the square footage. That appraisal will probably have a one-page diagram, for lack of a better term, of the room dimensions and that sort of thing. So, and that can be good info to put just that one page, not the full appraisal, in your MLS listing, just to show that measurements have been done enough. All righty, so back to our CMA. All right, so again, this is probably the best, clearly the best comp here, but I don't love that the closing date was almost a year ago, right? Some of these others, although even though it was a year ago, that's quite a nice sale price per square foot. Nice. All righty. And again, so there is a big jump from 1542 square feet to the 2000s, right? So I don't love this comp here because it's 1,200 square feet larger, right? So I think we really need to keep our focus down here. And as we know, if you've got a 1,500 square foot house that's sold for 200 or was listed for $208 per square foot, you wouldn't then say that very same house, if you added 600 square feet and it's 2,100 square feet, that list price per square foot doesn't have a linear flow. It's kind of exponentially down, right? Does that make sense? I didn't say that in a very clear way. But if you find several like properties, but the square footage is different, you need to take that into account. So the average list price per square foot is 170 here, and the median is 166. But you can see you've got quite a range here, and the average price per square foot on these smaller homes is kind of where you need to be looking. Does that make sense? Anybody?
Makes sense.
All right, great. All right, so is anybody ready to kind of float something out there for what you think a reasonable either listing price or a price per square footage, where we can back into it? Again, we're going to go with 1782 is our square footage, 1782. I like that nice little curveball, Maria, that with the sunroom, but we have a good supporting data to use a size of 1782. So that's significant, 240 square feet that you can price. So.
Yeah, and I don't remember if it's heated and cooled. I feel like it is, but I completely forgot about that until we were doing this, that they had added that sunroom.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, yay. There's a win for Pricing Pros today. And again, that's why it's so important to go, doing comps is such an iterative process, because you might go through it and think, oh, wait, there's this other thing, or you might see something that triggers a thought. And never be worried about reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, will you just take a look, just do a quickie look at this and give me the 3 most important things that you see. again, chances are that person will be glad to do it for you. I'm always glad to do it if you have something, question. And B, chances are that person needs the practice, which I always do. All right. All right, this is the point in the show where we ask for audience participation. Any thoughts? And if you're not comfortable, putting a price out there, that's okay. What about a range or a range of list price per square foot?
I thought between 350 and 360 would be reasonable and kind of aligned with the market these days. And I mean, again, I haven't seen her updates, but considering that she also updated the bathrooms and put in new flooring, she wants 375.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And maybe she just looked at, I mean, now that I saw that Zestimate,
Yeah.
maybe she was, I mean, I'm sure she checked Zillow.
Yeah.
So that's probably where she's getting that number.
And well, I was thinking the other day, I'm like, it's like the anti-limbo. The limbo is like, how low can you? And this market's like, oh, how high can we go up there? So 350 to 360. All right, that's a great place to start. We all know about, we've talked about the sort of the price breaks, that make the most sense. And so would you go 355, 358? Probably not, because if you've got people who are up to 350, and this is really a and we price it at 360, you're going to miss out on that group of people. So generally, we err on the side of going too high. So the next break would be 375, and you can always back it back down. But we want to make sure we've got some reasonable support for that number, right? So we don't want it to be ridiculous, because then we just look like that agent, even if it's our seller who's like, I want to list it for that, and that's just it. So, I like to do this little test, and some people will say, it's not about the list price per square foot. We back into that, but I'm just curious. Let's see, you said 360. Let's do 360 divided by 1782. That's $202 a square foot. All right, 202 per square foot. And I just like to, because some people look at square footage, some agents advise by square footage. So do we see anything in the comps that would support 202 per square foot? Well, we do have our very similar to our subject property. When it sold a year ago, almost a year ago, it sold at 210 per square foot. So that could possibly help support an argument, right, of that. So, so far, I don't think that's, way out of there. Now, the one that's under contract and showing is 3,400 square feet. It's twice the size of this one. It's really hard to make, and it's 4 bedrooms. It's really hard to make the case that we can use any information from that other than the fact it's available. And it went under contract in a day at a list price per square foot of 132. But again, I'm glad that we weeded that one out by limiting it to 3 beds, but just keeping in mind what's selling out there. So if a buyer's agent comes and says, well, the one that's under contract is only 132 per square foot, we just want to be able to talk intelligently to that if someone presents that question, right? So even if we're not going to use that info in our calculation per se, we just want to have that in our arsenal of information. All right. So Maria, if you were going to go in that 360 range, you might actually be going for the buyers who are buying up to 375, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everybody is getting so many offers and there's so few properties in that price range that
Yes.
she might end up getting, 15 over asking.
Yeah. And then it goes back to the question of would it appraise, right? And so that's and that's not our only consideration, because there are other things that we can we have within our within our power to work with that if it doesn't appraise. If you were to go at 375, I'm not saying do that. I'm just kind of doing the calculation here.
Mhm.
So that's $210 ish per square foot. All right, at 375. And again,
Yeah.
so, and now I'm getting for those of you who are on Pricing Pros, it's been about a month or a little more. Virginia Rogan, it was her subject property, and we were all $25,000 lower than she was thinking of listing it at, and so we call it going Rogan. You're gonna go Rogan on it, So then we asked the question, is it worth that? Do we think it's worth that? Do we think it could comp for that? I think it might be there, honestly, Maria.
Yeah, I mean, with the updates and this market, it might be there. The one thing I have going for me is because we had that issue when she bought the house with the appraisal, she already knows the deal. If it doesn't appraise,
Right.
you might have your deal fall apart, or you'll have to, bring down your price.
Right.
So she's aware of that scenario and has been there on the buyer side.
Mm-hmm.
And she also agreed with me when I said, just based on, without looking at your house, like I said, between like 350, 360. And she was like, yeah, she's like, I initially thought 350, but I would like to get 375. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we just go Rogan on it.
Go Rogan. Well, and again, I'm not one to say throw the spaghetti against the wall and see if it sticks. For example, I was out showing a couple of weeks ago, and we saw 3 houses that morning, and the third one was clearly overpriced. And I didn't say that. The buyers who were looking said that. And I was on a Monday, I got a call from the listing agent saying, hey, just wanted, because I gave feedback that we thought the price was a little high. And he called and said, yeah, we kind of threw it out there, but, and then they lowered the price to what it probably should be, but our buyers had moved on, right? So keeping in mind, we're not out there to see, how much we do want to get the best offer for the seller, but best offer includes other things, not just price, because we do have to make sure that the deal gets to closing, because ultimately that's what's best for the seller, is getting to the closing table so they sell the house. So and we need to explain that to our sellers. Like, look, I think I can get $400,000 for this house. Yes, we might be able to get that, but here's what that offer would need to look like. That offer would need to be, if it's contingent on appraisal, here's what that means. And there's a risk if it doesn't appraise. So we would need to have a contingency plan. You need to be willing to lower the price. You would need to be willing to walk away and start over. So anyway, again, this setting up, even if these comps are pre-listing, you're already thinking that far down the road. You're already thinking all the way to closing when you're doing these comps. So I'm not uncomfortable with 375, 370, somewhere in there. But if you're thinking of going over 350, which I think I would, then, and keep in mind, when we say we see a sale price of square foot of 210.77, again, that's on the square footage of 1542. So just keep that in mind. We also want to take a look at what sold recently. Again, those are so much higher in square footage. But these stayed on the market for a while too, right? Even though they were later. But I think with the sunroom, the added square footage, and that sunroom is something that is unique. That's a marketing thing for like, hey, this is unique. You can't get this in West Chase. They had to go through the HOA to get approval for this, and you know, and that's something that is. And then of course the updates. But what you really want to make sure that you can do is that you could look an appraiser in the eye and say, here are the comps. Here's where I bumped it up. I think it calls for that. And not that they'll necessarily talk to you, not that they'll necessarily look at any information you provide them, but I don't want to get in front of, if I got called in front of an appraiser who called me and said, hey, look, I just don't see this. Bye, Dana, thanks. She's going to 40X. Yeah, just have it ready. You know, if you're going to be looking at your toes going, yeah, I have no idea, we just thought we could get it, then I don't feel good at doing that as a professional. Like I'm giving you my professional opinion, and here's how we came to this. Yeah, so I think there are comps. I think 375 is going to be tight. You know, I think probably somewhere in, you know, the 360, you know, 365 range is probably right. But if you can get an offer that waives the appraisal contingency, you know, that would be a good thing. If you agree if the original agreement is for seller to pay title and it doesn't appraise, you can lower the price with agreement from the buyer. You could lower the price and have the buyer pay title, right? So there's some things that we can do if it gets to that point where it's not appraising.
Yeah. All right. Well,
those are my thoughts.
I like those thoughts. I agree.
Team, what do you think? And you know, there's certainly nothing wrong with adjusting that price down, but be sure you have, of course, that conversation with the seller, like, hey, look, here's what I advise. You know, it's a hot market. You have a very unique property. There's not a lot in this price range, you know, based on what's sold, which is much, you know, considerably larger. But we think we can make a case for this number. However, the most interest you're going to get in a property is in the first 3 weeks that it's on, you know, and go through that conversation. So I would recommend, if we don't have the interest that we think should have within the first week, let's drop it a little bit, you know, and just to have that plan ahead of time. So you're level setting expectations. So your seller's not like, I'm getting 375, right? So you just, you know, want to set those expectations correctly.
Yeah.
Those other two were on the market so long.
Lindsay, would you say these two were on the market for a while?
Yeah, why do you think that is?
That's a great question. I don't know. Let's see. And ultimately, this one sold for slightly higher than it was listed at originally, and this one sold considerably lower. And Lindsay, I don't know the answer to that, but this is a great question. Like, what was going on here?
I mean, it could be that they, you know, dropped the price because of repairs, you know, in lieu of doing some repairs, gave them a credit. I don't know.
Right. Could have been something that came up during inspection.
Yeah.
You know, could have been a you know, a structural issue. I mean, certainly structural issues can be upwards of $15,000-$20,000 depending on the repair that needs to happen. So it could have been that. And you could always, if you're digging into it and you can't figure it out, you could call the agent for, you know, for these and say, hey, look, I'm getting ready to list in West Chase. Do you have any advice for me? You know, there's nothing wrong with saying that. Like, how would you, you know, is there anything you could share that would help in the marketing there? And again, most agents are going to be happy to help, right? If they have that, what we talk about, the abundance mindset. So I don't know, Lindsay, but this is a rabbit hole that I'd love to go down. But of course, we've gone over by 33 minutes because, as D. Davis says, you just need to own it that Pricing Pros is an hour. I'm like, no, it's 30 minutes. It's just 30 minutes. But I'd like to go down that rabbit hole and try to figure out what is it, what's going on there. Why did it stay on the market in this market in early 21? Why, what was going on there? So I don't know the answer. And on that, we'll leave you hanging. What was going on at 1448 West Running Brook Road? Dun, dun, dun. Maria, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
This was a great one. We haven't had a good subdivision one in a while. And this was a goodie. It had some twists and turns in it with the sunroom and the FISBO. So it had lots of good things to practice.
I'll let you guys know once hopefully I get the listing, and
yes, step one, get the listing.
I'll follow up and let you guys know what we settled on. But thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thanks to all of you.
Yeah, and if anyone thinks of something to add or to suggest to Maria, please reach out and let her know. Like, oh, hey, I just learned something about blah. That would help. That's, to me, that's the secondary and also very important benefit of things like this, Pricing Pros, is love connections where you're like, oh wait, I've got the perfect buyer for you, or oh wait, I just got a listing there, and let's get together and powwow. So alrighty, well, thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and thank you for participating in Pricing Pros. I've enjoyed it this morning. And if you have something upcoming, please submit it, and we'll be glad to put it through the paces.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye, guys.
You guys take care. Oh, I said guys. Oh, you all take care.